All right, what's up, y'all? This is All Gas, No Trash. My name's Adam, and welcome back to the program, and welcome to a brand new episode. As you might suspect, we are, in fact, talking about the debut EP from Toast Club that I have been looking forward to for quite some time, since I discovered the band last year from their single Café Pacific, which I think is actually on the EP itself, or from what I've seen on the track list. And in more recent memory, they were featured at a show in Japan, which totally makes sense because for anybody that might like Cassiopeia or any of those like jazz fusion bands that this is just like a logical conclusion, at least in my estimation, of a band that totally makes sense in appearing in Japan. But yeah, we have their debut EP called Lift that's got, I think, 7 tracks on it. And funnily enough, from what I've seen on YouTube videos or sets that have been posted about Toast Club, the tracks that I heard on these sets are actually not included on the album, which is surprising because I thought I was getting a leg up trying to hear their sets from, different shows that they had played, but it looks like it's just entirely new material that hasn't been featured just yet. Maybe they're saving that for a debut album, but without further ado, let's go ahead and get to the album itself. And the first song that we're going to listen to on the Lift EP is a track called Ascension Island. And if you don't know or are not familiar with Toast Club, they are comprised of Tommy Villiers and also Chuck P. Smythe, who plays keys, and then Tommy plays guitar. But they're based out of the UK and kind of play jazz rock, jazz, yacht rock type of stuff. So if you're into that, hang around for a bit. We'll talk about the music, listen along with us. And if you just want to hear me talk about it, that's also cool too. So we're going to listen to the first track. It's called Ascension Island from their Lift EP. Going in. All right, welcome back. That was Toast Club with their track called Ascension Island. Let us know what you thought about it in the comments. And just to remind you, we do not play the music on the podcast because we've run into issues with the copyrights holders and we don't want to be copyright stricken on YouTube. So in order to avoid that, we leave the listening to you on your digital streaming platform of choice, and we just provide the links, and you can listen on your own. But what I can say about this track is, wow, what a what a stellar opening from Toast Club, man. I mean, it's such a delightful track to open with, and I just can't believe how Chuck P. Smythe is able to like simulate a plane just getting ready to lift off with the way that he strikes the keys initially in the intro of the song. And we have Tommy Villiers also being highlighted in the track with some of the guitar work. And man, I have this really weird idea in my head, and I don't know if these guys ever listened to The Police, but the tempo of the track reminds me of this song called Oh My God from The Police off of their last album. I think it's called Synchronicity, but I know the track is called for sure Oh My God, and it's got like this cool laid back cruising feeling. And the way the keys are played in this track remind me of the playfulness from every little thing she does is magic from Ghost in the Machine. Like I don't know if these guys ever listened to or fucked with the Police, but even though their realm of music is mainly in, I guess, jazz fusion, jazz rock, like yacht rock type of stuff, that I don't know. I just think about the Police on this track, but it's just unbelievable how these guys are able to paint a story with just sound itself. And it does sound like maybe there is bongos heard in the background. I'm not entirely sure. I also thought I heard like a melodica, but that might just be me. I'm not sure if like Chuck P. Smythe has, one of the things that I had seen on their sets is that he programs like one half of the keyboard to sound like a synthesizer, and then he programs the other half to be whatever else he wants it to be like more of a traditional piano sound or maybe organ keys or, you know, whatever he actually wants to do with it. But just the way that this track opened, man, I think it makes me nostalgic for like video games from the N64 era. One particularly that comes to mind was this game called Pilot Wings, that was just like an aviation game that had you do all kinds of stuff. But there was also this game called Wave Race 64. Well, both versions of Pilot Wing, the Super Nintendo version and also the N64 version, and of course Wave Race 64, which also kind of had like jazz fusion type of stuff. Um, and man, I could totally see something like this on airline commercials, but also the PGA golf tours. Whenever there's like bumper music or transitioning out of a commercial, I could definitely see Toast Club's music being licensed for something like that or synced for the purposes of being used in PGA Tour stuff. But well, fuck. What a great way to open the EP, man. I'm always excited. Always looking forward to hearing music from Toast Club. And dude, I'm just so fucking geeked listening to their music, being able to have this EP in hand, figuratively, and just work my way through it. So let's go ahead and get to the next track, which is called California, which is a song that was released more recently. It was one of the later singles that came out. So we'll go ahead and give it a listen and pull it up on your digital streaming platform of choice and listen along with us if you wish to do so. California with 3 A's from Toast Club going in. All right, welcome back. That was California from Toast Club. Let us know in the comments what you thought about it. So their tagline on social media, or I think it's like their Spotify profile, is that they say that they're UK Dons on Pacific time. And I can totally see why, because that song was a fucking jam. And it feels like from the previous song, from Ascension Island, we just lifted off and made our way to California, just arriving, and the plane setting down. And the first thing that we do is hop in a convertible with the top rolled back, heading towards Malibu Beach, where you're just chilling on the beach and having a good time. Pitch up an umbrella, have a chair laid in the sand, and just feel the cool breeze. And then later in the evening, you hop back in your convertible, head down PCH1, which I think is actually one of the lyrics at the very end, where I think Chuck P. Smythe says, "PCH1 nighttime drives, leave your mind behind, and all will be fine." So it is kind of like a cool song to personify California as this, beautiful woman that Chuck needed to visit and become familiar with, be shown another side of life, as he points out in the lyrics. And I really like the harmonies on this track. I was trying to think of what it reminded me of, but I just can't really think of anything, but it just really puts you at ease. I have like a really odd story or thing that comes to mind when I listen to this track. Like, I imagine 80s yuppies with like loafers and khakis and a hot pink shirt with a sports jacket on uh on a yacht doing lines of cocaine and just really enjoying the California sunshine while on a sailboat or a yacht while dolphins are like swimming along. And fuck, man, this music is just so great, and I love it so much. And the last bit of the track where it kind of gets pitched down and slowed down, it almost gets vaporwavy. I don't know why they threw that in there, but that was just really cool to have to cap off the track. But I really enjoyed that song. I thought it was pretty cool. So, the other thing that I liked about it, again, was the fact that it just kind of bled in from the previous song coming into California. But let's go ahead and get to the next track, which is called Café Pacific. And, speaking of driving into or going into, I guess landing into California, we have this track called Café Pacific, perhaps where the pilots hang out and chill. And these guys are, at least like kind of the story that's told here in my imagination is that now they're like meeting up at the airport, whatever pilot cafe these people hang out on. Is That's the portion of the song that we're in, or part of the story that we're in now. So pull it up on your digital streaming platform of choice. We're going to be checking out Cafe Pacific from Toast Club. Going in. Welcome back. That was Cafe Pacific from Toast Club. Let us know in the comments what you thought about it. All right, so this is kind of them dipping into their yacht rock side. If you're a fan of the Doobie Brothers, I'm sure you thought of a track like "What a Fool Believes." This is just a really like fun track to talk about like pilots getting prepared for their day, and just kind of like a stream of consciousness type of lyrics, especially the part where it says, what does it say? Let's see. Is it a Boeing? He wants to know what he's in for. Done all the reading. He's hoping for a Dreamliner. Fuck duty free. He's got the scent from the boss man. Picture the coastline, the surf. It ain't bad in Ibiza. Like, it just kind of seems like strung together loose ideas that one thinks about while like doing their job or whatever. And I don't know, it's just kind of fun, and it really just adds to the joy of flight or aviation for both these guys, Tommy Villiers and also Chuck P. Smythe, to really just make an exceptional track. And I would say like Tommy Villiers' vocals really shine here, like to do a falsetto as well as he does. And I think one of the real strengths of Toast Club is how they're able to make really strong melodies that just get stuck in your head, that become earworms. And let me see if I have anything else to add about the track. But just those flourishes that Chuck does during the bridge, it really is just like a true classic. It's a goofy but like fun track. But man, I just love Toast Club. I think they're making some really awesome music, and I hope more people check it out. And here I am doing the EP review to entice more of you to check out their music. But let's go ahead and get to the next track, which is one that I haven't heard. It's called Alexandria. So pull it up on your digital streaming platform of choice and we'll give it a listen. This is Alexandria from Toast Club, going in. All right, welcome back. That was Toast Club with their track called Alexandria. Another great track from Toast Club, one that feels like we're in the process of being in transit, taking another flight. And what I really like about this track is, as if Toast Club themselves is like, hey, you really have to enjoy the love of flying. It affords you the opportunity to visit all these cool places. I mean, one of the places that they mention is, taking an airliner to Nepal to climb the tallest of mountains. And depending on your motivation, if you want to, kick back and enjoy the beaches of some other country, or maybe you want to go to Maine and fall in love with a girl there or something like that. At least that's what I remember from the track. But it does get a little like comical to some degree, especially like the part where Tommy Villiers kind of rushes some of the lyrics into the bar or whatever it is, where he says, so many flights, compare the price if you're crushing on, like he says, if you're crushing on a little rushed. And then it says, there's another portion of the song where it says, so many flights to scan all night if you're surfing on. And he kind of rushes that last bit. But I just love like the fucking stabs from Chuck Smythe on this song. The airplane sounds make it feel as though we're already like heading to our next destination or already in transit yet again. But the harmonies, man, I don't know if I'm like out on a limb here, but I do kind of get like Beach Boy vibes with like the falsetto harmonies that are done. But there's probably something that's more appropriate that I can't think of, perhaps from like the 70s. I just can't think of a band that I'm drawing a blank right now. Maybe some of you guys can help me out in the comments about what the harmonies remind you of. But let's go ahead and talk about the next track, which is called Mean Girl. And we'll go ahead and check it out. Mean Girl from Toast Club, going in. All right, welcome back. That was Mean Girl from Toast Club. Let us know in the comments what you thought about it. So, okay, the thing is, I like this track, but if there were a critique to be had, and not to say it completely detracts from the EP itself, but it does seem like a bit of an oddity to include this song in here because it really doesn't have anything to do with like aviation or flights or anything like that. It's, mainly about a girl that whoever this person is in the song, they're having a little bit of a weird time because they're kind of mischievous, and they this guy is really high and he's just kind of trying to make it through the night while they're getting into all kinds of shenanigans and stuff, and he's trying to find out whether he should play it cool or if he, his paranoia from the high that he's developed is becoming too much for him. And I don't know, it's a fun song. I like the part where it talks about the guy asking what her blunt rotation would be, and the girl says Chris Rock and Dwayne Johnson, which is really funny. But yeah, it does seem like a song that is kind of out of place a bit. And while we're on the subject of having little critiques about the EP itself, I think I don't know if this is actually the case, but I'm actually thinking Alexandria would have been a great finish for this EP. It just feels like it has that conclusive nature to it. But let's see if the last track actually holds up to that. Being a really conclusive end to the EP itself. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Alexandria is fine where it's at. But if it's not in the middle of the album, it should be like the penultimate track. Like I just feel like maybe the that song just has some finality to it. But anyways, let's go ahead and get to, what is it? Let's see. Mean Girl, Lift Explained. And if I had to, mention some quick things, the parts that I liked about this song were like the baseball organ keys. For whatever reason, they make me think of like Huey Lewis in the News with hip to be square or something along those lines. Or with Tommy Villiers' vocals here, I mean, he really shines in this track, I could say that. But let's go ahead and get to the next track, which is called Lift Explained. It's a single that was released previously that I have heard before, but it doesn't hurt to check out this song once again. So pull it up on your digital streaming platform of choice. This is Lift Explained from Toast Club, going in. All right, welcome back. That was Lift Explained from Toast Club. Let us know in the comments what you thought about it. Man, I already did an episode about this song, and I feel like I probably am going to let myself down in describing how I perceive it or how I enjoy it on this EP review. So if you want to hear a more refined take on this track, listen to that if you want to. It's in our YouTube channel. You can go back and check our episodes on Toast Club that we did. But, as far as what I can say right now is this to me is like expert level mastery of music, how both Tommy Villiers and Chuck P. Smythe are able to simulate flight, like an actual plane lifting off, especially in the beginning. And this is the example that I was talking about, how in within their live sets, Chuck P. Smythe programs one half of the keyboard to sound like a synthesizer, and the other half has got like a little bit of a warmer sound and warmer, choppier sound that he plays the chords on, but the synthesizer is kind of where he cuts loose on. But yeah, I think that initial portion, it just feels like the engines are turning on, and when it starts getting to the middle portion of the song, when it really picks up pace and doubles in time with the guitar from Tommy Villiers, and even like even Chuck is like getting even more frantic with his keyboard solo, to the point that he starts like bending the note that really just again illustrates like a plane really climbing into the sky, and then it really alleviates and feels as though we have reached the clouds by the end of the track. And for them to just do that is phenomenal, man. I don't know what other words to describe how fucking awesome this track is, and you know, I I think it's one of the cooler ones on the EP. I would dare say Ascension Island is still my personal, perhaps new favorite track that, oh man, I don't know if anything else can top it. We are reaching the end of the EP with the last track called Harry and Toby, which is probably maybe the two pilots that we have been hearing about within the story of this EP. I don't know what's going to happen, but for me, talking about Alexandria feeling more like an appropriate song for the end of an EP, we will hold out that thought and see what this track has to offer. But yeah, let's go ahead and get to Harry and Toby from Toast Club from their EP called Lift, which is an appropriate name for what they offered within this EP. Harry and Toby from Toast Club, going in. Welcome back. That was Toast Club with their last track called Harry and Toby. Let us know in the comments what you thought about it. All right, so right off the bat, I don't have any actual notes to say about this song. I think it was a great way, a perfect way to end the EP. And I can't really knock it for really anything. If anything, where I want to go with this is just talk about how this music is able to just get the creative juices going to the point that what comes to mind for me is like a relationship between two friends. The way the song starts off real moody and it feels like bittersweet almost. It's kind of derivative from what is actually being portrayed in the story of this EP, but like what I can imagine is two friends that are saying goodbye at an airport, probably never to see each other again, and they're kind of just coming to terms with that and sending each other off or saying goodbye to each other. And the other end is that perhaps these are two pilots, a co-pilot and a pilot, getting called into work and feeling reluctant. That's the first portion of the song, and when the mood lightens up, it's like, oh hey, wait a minute, we love this, like we love our jobs. And I think of that LeBron James meme where where he's like brushing back his hair and he's in a pool. He's like, oh my god, I can't believe this is my life. I imagine that's kind of what's happening here with this track, that these two pilots are probably had the day to themselves, or had a few days of vacation to themselves to, really enjoy wherever they actually landed. And now they're getting called back into work early. And they're like, wait a minute, we like our jobs. What the fuck? Like, we're pilots. We get to travel all over the world and go wherever we want and see all these beautiful places. And the mood just kind of lightens up from there. And I just can't say enough good things about both Chuck Smythe and also Tommy Villiers to, again, paint stories sonically with no words, largely with some of these tracks that, you're really breathtaking and add to the prestige and mystique of California and all these different places around the world that people want to travel to and escape to. And just overall, a love letter to the joy of flight and aviation, even though sometimes there are some hindrances like, say, waiting in a TSA line or baggage claim, stupid stuff like that. But overall, like, just having the ability to hop on a plane, travel to a different place is just a beautiful thing. And what else could I add about this particular song? No, I don't know if I have anything else to add. So let's go ahead and get to final thoughts and score. Actually, I did forget to mention one thing. The last 1 minute, perhaps even 2 minute portion towards the end of the song, that exact tone that you hear on the keys is actually what's featured on the Wave Race 64 soundtrack. So if anybody is kind of curious to some of the comparisons I made of Toast Club to other things, like, check out the Wave Race 64 soundtrack. It might make you think of a band like Toast Club and some of the similarities that is featured between both their music. But let's go ahead and transition over to talking about final thoughts and scores. For final thoughts, the only thing that the few things that I had to share is that I can't stress enough how great both Chuck Smythe and Tommy Villiers are to be sonic storytellers within the scope of this EP. To call it Lift is such an appropriate name for how they've been portraying themselves and their fascination and love for aviation and flight. The lyrics are witty and funny, and the music is whimsical and fun. Really, I mean, the ability to, I guess, portray or personify the sounds of flight in the form of song is just an amazing ability to do. And I don't know how it's possible. I don't know what sorcery musicians have that they're able to accomplish that, but it's just such a cool thing to see and hear. And I don't know, man. I think if there were a little bit more to critique about, if there were some minor gripes to have, and maybe they're not even that big of a deal. Largely, they're not. I mean, as far as like personal preference goes, I still think that Mean Girl was a track that maybe should have been left off of the EP. But then again, like, this EP is just kind of like a sampler or things to come in the future when they eventually release a debut album in the future. Because as I had stated before, within their live set, they had some songs that I had never heard of, and they didn't put them on here. There was a track called Wimbledon Theme that we don't have it on this EP, so I'm assuming that we'll probably get it down the line on an album. But yeah, like I was saying, this is something that's kind of like fast and loose. Here's a little collection of songs for you to check out. But like, if I were to have any like critiques about what we heard, Mean Girl does feel a little out of place to some degree compared to some of the other tracks. I know we had some like yacht rock tracks with Cafe Pacific and some of the other songs, but this one felt thematically out of place because, from the start of the album to the very end, we are talking about like aviation. And, perhaps you can justify it in saying that Mean Girl is about a pilot having a relationship with a girl or, a flight attendant or something that is a little on the mischievous side. And, he's not ready for that. He's kind of timid or weird or whatever the fuck it might be that is talked about in the lyrics. Maybe I can justify it in that way. But for me personally, like, if I were to, I haven't like definitively settled on how the track list would be arranged, but I would say Ascension Island and California have to go together. Maybe Alexandria falls in place after California, and then it's Lift Explained and Harry and Toby is to follow afterwards. But I didn't know where to put Cafe Pacific on the EP, if like there was a place to put it. So I would leave out Mean Girl, and I would, I guess, mull over where Cafe Pacific fits in this new track list that I just thought of while we were, listening to this EP. But, if I had to give it to a score, it's easily a 9 at the very least. The minor critiques that I have are just very little. It's just kind of personal preference more than anything. But again, Tommy Villiers and Chuck Smythe are geniuses, and what do they deserve? I think they are people that should be featured on the PGA Tour, the bumper music that is featured on the PGA Tour. Have their music synced to commercial. Have it be call waiting music when you call into your doctor's appointment or your dentist appointment, whatever the fuck it is. These guys are so fucking awesome, and I think they deserve all the success and fame in the world for the great music that they make. I think they should play at the Santa Barbara Bowl. I think they need to be at every jazz festival. I could wash their balls or wash their sack for another 30 seconds, but I won't, because that's enough. And I've already kind of glazed them enough in these 29 or 30 minutes I've been talking about them. So with that said, I can simply say that Toast Club's EP is a 9 out of 10, a stellar debut from this great duo from the UK Dons from, UK Dons on Pacific Time is the tagline for this duo. But yeah, make sure you support them in whatever way. Make sure that when they come to California that we give them a warm welcome when they actually debut in Los Angeles. I'm looking forward to it. I could easily see myself going to their concerts and paying $50 if I had to. I don't really give a fuck. It could have been any amount of money I would have paid $100 to go see them, but I don't want people getting ideas about what they should actually charge for when Toast Club actually debuts. But thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this EP review about Toast Club's debut EP, Lift. And yeah, I'll see y'all next time. Have a good one.